Rising, Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show on the Straight Talk Network. My name is Andre Hill. I'm your host, and we have our regular three wise men on the show this morning. We have the chairman up in Detroit, where it is cold. Hey, chairman, how you doing this morning?
Grand Rising, everyone. It is cold out there. I think it's about 14 degrees. They say tomorrow is going to get up into the 20s, so that's headed in the right direction, I would say. But February tomorrow, so we only got 2 more months basically, and might get some heat waves in March. Looking forward to it. But other than that, hey, everything is everything.
Hey, man, yeah, at least y'all used to that. We getting
Yeah,
cold.
we are.
We're cold in the Tampa Bay. It's going to be in the 20s and the 30s here in the Tampa Bay area tomorrow and Monday. That is unheard of. And we trying to get you all to call y'all snow back home. Your cold weather, man. Hey, we got our engineer, attorney for our Aboriginal tribe, and all of that, Andre Hill Jr. What's going on, man?
Peace, family. I am not an attorney. And not
by the authority of the UAAR, I have the executive authority to anoint you as legal counsel and all the rest of your legal team as
we can go with that. We can say call us lawful counsel.
Lawful counsel. I think you guys are developing a very good strategy for reclaiming our tribal heritage, and I'm glad you guys are working, discussing different tactics and establishing a protocol, because our people don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And UAAR, United Aboriginal American Republic, we're working on the answer, but the key to it is collective effort. One or two ain't gonna do it. All of us, we need to just wake up and realize the BS is over. White supremacy in our land is over. So let's straighten up. What does that movie say? Straighten up and fly right. Let's do this thing, man. All right. So anyway, I did my live post, and we're talking about Aboriginal forces. How are we going to get back in position and be respected by the guardians of the Most High? The ones that's ready to anoint us as a civilized species. Can no other group do it better than the Aboriginals of this land, the original melanated people that was designed to operate on the surface of this planet? If we don't steer this thing in the direction of just basic spiritual common sense, it's not going to happen. If you've been an oppressor, a rapist, a murderer, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to talk to you. The guardians of the Most High, they're waiting on us, the melanated people, to come together and demonstrate, okay, we've been kicked down, we've been beat down for long enough, and we are going to come together as a collective and reverse this thing. So that's what we are. We're going to talk about that today, and also the remedies of how we're going to come together. We're going to explain it. Hey, we got Chief, your son. Hey, man, you coming on? All right. Okay. Also, we're going to talk about these, the military and this United States deep state collective. These demons. The reason they don't want to expose there are other universes, there are other civilizations in the universe, is because when they had the opportunity to develop this planet with technology where we could all eat, where we could all stay warm, we could enjoy this planet, they turned it down and said, nah, that'll make everybody equal. Our United States government back in the 40s, maybe later than that. And they decided, no, we're going to go with, the technology to build planes and jets and bullets and ships and that sort of thing, so that we can, continue with chaos. And that was the choice that they chose. The Aboriginal people, we wasn't in on that deal. So how do we get back there? These are some of the things that we're going to cover, why they're suppressing the knowledge. And then we're going to even talk about, the moon. Is it a real moon, or was it a engineering feat to install a mechanism around this planet? So Andre Jr., he's going to expand on that one. He's got some old, 1,000-year-old stories on the metaphor of how the moon was put in place.
I wonder how old those stories are, but either way, they come from an Aboriginal perspective, so that's why we're going to talk about it.
All right. And so also the chairman is going to give us an update. As a matter of fact, we're going to start out with the chairman, but we need an update on 3i Atlas, because I'm getting some downloads. That's why I got the download that if whatever government continues to suppress this knowledge, when hey chairman, don't we have a satellite that where 3i Atlas is right now? We can look inside and see who's in the toilet.
Well, you're talking about the Webb telescope.
Yeah.
If it can look at other galaxies and tell you if there's planets there, it could look at the 3i Atlas, but they don't want to freak people out. The only way you control people is keep them ignorant. You feed them knowledge. You tell them what you want them to know. And it's just like what's happening with 3i Atlas right now. It's headed towards Jupiter. And on Jupiter right now, we have satellites like the Juno satellite that's revolving around. It should be able to really get close, to the 3i Atlas. And another thing about Jupiter, every planet has gravity around it. It's just like we go up in the sky and all of a sudden, whatever took us up there, we releases and we go and fall back down to the earth. And that's where the gravity comes in. Well, they call that the Hill radius area. You can go just so far out, and then you're going to come back to earth because that's gravity pulling you. But when you get past that Hill radius, then you're in space. So you've got to have the momentum to continue to go at the speed in which you entered that Hill gravity or gotten away from that Hill gravity. When you've traveled to that speed, you'll continue trajectory in that same speed. Okay. So that's what's really going on, because right now with 3i Atlas, it's moving so fast. I don't think the Hill radius would apply to that because of the speed that it's going right now, because that's what's really happening with this Jupiter's gravity. But we don't have much longer, because it's March the 16th. It should be at the closest point to Jupiter that we'll know more information about 3i Atlas. And it's just like I say, it's not that long, but they're really watching with every observatory on the planet, keeping eyes on it 24/7. It's like, as we turn when it's daytime here, at the nighttime area on our planet, it can observe the 3i Atlas. And they're looking for any observation of them releasing probes to land on Jupiter. And this is why it's so intense right now, because now they're saying back when it was close to Mars that it might have released some probes that are still in that, area, navigating around Mars. We don't have any information as far as what would you say? We don't have the information to really let us know that I'm losing my thought. It's so much, you know. But yeah, with Mars and the probes, they think that Three Eye Atlas might have left some probes on Mars that's really showing us, what's, or they would be observing us from Mars. And they kept going, but leaving those probes there is an indication that it's more than just a natural phenomenon, that it's got to be technology for it to actually happen, because you don't have a natural comet that could go around the planet and speed up and slow down and change colors. All these things are happening. And these are what they call anomalies. And right now, we don't understand that the technology that's involved for it to be able to go through space and change its directions. Because, like I said before, you got over probably 300 or 400 years of information on comets, and Three Eye Atlas don't display any of those characteristics, you know. And I had some notes down here.
So, Chairman, while you're looking at your notes, on a scale from 1 to 10, with humans being 1 with our technology, and the supreme being being 10, how advanced do you think that these beings are on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of being a galactic council, being the ultimate decision makers, or being the ones that develop us humans here on this planet? What you think that they're pretty advanced? What do you think?
There's no doubt in my mind. I think if a scale of 1 to 10, you're looking at probably 7 or 8, because if you get up to 10, then you're like God conscience, you can control your destination almost. You can go almost anywhere, at least in the galaxy, you know. But yeah, we they are advanced. They're very advanced. And they also said something about they've had a time stoppage where Three Eye Atlas had something to do with time stopped for something like 4 or 5 seconds. And that's very important, very important. Because when you're, messing with time, you know, you could cause hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, just like they're talking about right now. There's some earthquake that they think is going to happen where volcanoes are going to start erupting, and it's freaking people out. They're not telling the general public that, but you got to watch certain programs in order to stay abreast of these things, because the average person just can't handle it. It'd be like when the earth stood still, that program where they told people that aliens were landing and people were freaking out all over back in the 30s. You know, they just want to keep certain information from you. But yeah, they are very advanced, very advanced. But I think that's a part of the process of how we got here a long time ago when we're put on Earth, and now we're being observed. And now they're seeing that we're advancing. They don't want us to do the wrong thing by causing some chain reaction with this CERN situation in Europe where it could just destroy the whole planet, you know. And I also heard something about with the um, being able to shut down spaceships or actually rockets, even going into some invisible mode where they could shut a helicopter down, where that if you got 2 guys in a helicopter and they're traveling and all of a sudden something turns off and both of them are in there and they're freaking out because of how did that happen. There's nobody here but us two. So that's some technology. We can do that. And even with that like I say, rocket, the one that had that missile that was going out in space, and then all of a sudden you see the spaceship come around and disarm it, that's some technology, some real technology. But they're doing that to just warn us and let us know we need to get it together because, we're getting into some realms that we don't fully understand, and we need their assistance to guide us and help us basically come together so we can live in peace and in harmony with each other. Because the way we're going, this technology, we could upset the whole process of our orbiting around the sun. It's deep and it's serious. And we need to continue to explore ourselves and try to gain more knowledge about this here because we're going to need all hands on deck to, you know, help us resolve some of these issues that we're having right now. And it's serious.
So now I believe that program with the astronauts, the one that they had to terminate, that's claimed that one of the astronauts got sick.
Yes.
I don't think, maybe the one, they left one up there. It's still a guy up there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think he has a better security clearance than the other three, but I believe they terminated that thing because 3i was doing some things that was so obvious that they had to contain it. I just can't see all of a sudden he got sick and they're gonna shut down a multi-million-dollar project like that.
That's a good analogy, what you just said. Very good analogy.
Yeah, 3i is transmitting. Now, the other thing too, Chairman, before we get off this topic, what I'm getting is they are here, to give us the opportunity, and it's a seasonal thing, whether it's, it happens every century, or every 1,000 years, but they are here to enforce this transition. And I don't think the people should say, well, when it leaves the orbit, we good. We can get back to our demonic ways. I think it's going to leave equipment here. And we talked about this last week. I talked about the experience I had when they left me those 2 lanterns. But I don't want people to get, okay, well, it's going to leave the solar system and then it's over and then we can get back to our sinful ways, what do you think? Do you think that they're leaving equipment here and then we're at the point where we either evolve or we will be terminated? Are you getting that from the 3i Atlas?
Well, what I'm getting is, like you mentioned, that they're here. They've basically have always been here under their own representation, but they're making themselves more available because things are really starting to get serious. We're getting into realms and into technologies that could destroy us. And I truly believe in my heart that they're kinfolks to us, All humans are related. There's only one creator, and we're the children of that creator, and they don't want to see this experiment blown, because it could happen. And that's why I say that they're here. They've been here. That's how they've got a means of communicating with 3i Atlas to let them know certain things that are happening on planet Earth. They're also saying that we're being observed. We're observing, but we're being absorbed too. And with these things that they're doing, and we're getting these frequencies from 3i Atlas, is letting us know that, that they have some type of relationship with us because we're dissecting, some of the signals and getting information, and it's not a natural thing. It's a technological thing, but we're still advancing ourselves and we're learning more about what they're doing, because of our exploring and, research and things that we're doing to advance and to go further in space. Because we know we can't be on planet Earth for all of existence. One day that sun's going to be a red giant and explode, and that's curtains for everything on planet Earth. So the ones that are trying to get ahead want to make sure they get the transportation to leave here first, and then it's every man for themselves. But you know, the rich want to get richer so they can afford it, but they're doing it at our expense. Now, if it was fair, I can go along with it. You know, teach these kids what's happening in the future to prepare for it. But what they're doing, they're teaching the same old stuff that when I was going to school almost, other than we got the internet and things that are really giving us a better education. But the old way of doing things it's got to change. And everybody's got to be involved because you don't know who's going to take us to that next level. And we need to be in levels because, like I say about this volcano, they're saying that might erupt. You know, that could kill millions of people. And if it happened here, we're going to want someone to try to come and save us. So let us be ready so we can go and help our brothers and sisters around the planet that might need some assistance. And when I say brothers and sisters, I mean the whole planet, you know, because the majority of us, we can get along. But you got some rich folks, you know, they want to play this king queen thing that, you know, I want to be on top and you on the bottom, you know, and you do as I say do. Those days are coming to an end. We need cooperation and more education.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what the younger generation. Hey, man. Hey, Junior and Chief Yasun. What are you guys are picking up? Because it's transmitting on all 144 frequencies. I know from basic terminology or astrological alignment, and it could be 144,000. So, hey, Junior, what's your take on that?
Picking up what 3 Atlas is putting down.
Yes, sir.
Well, at this point, I don't think technology as we know it is what the gift is going to be, if you will. And I think we have to really take a step back and think about the concept of extraterrestrialism and technology, right? Because here's even let's say a galactic council. Because if we believe there's a galactic council, right, and we're assuming that the galactic council is mentally and spiritually more advanced than anybody on this planet, and then that begs the question: then where is the revelation? What is the mystery about? In other words, what are we looking? Well, we're looking to see a galactic council sit in a chamber physically to where they can reveal themselves to us. Because if that's so, then who on earth has the ability to stop them or hide that from us, right? Who has the ability to stop let's say a powerful galactic council from saying, hey, here we go? Makes you wonder, what's really going on this planet, or is this planet a very specific experimentation process, and are we the galactic council and we deliberately sign up to come here and condition ourselves into unknowing for whatever purpose we want to have on this planet? Because otherwise, I mean, even I'm just thinking about extraterrestrialism on any scale, whether it be from Greys, whether it be from people talking about Andromedans to whatever, all of that, in any case, they all have at least what we've been trained to see, which is spaceships, so forth and so on. All that technology is way better than anything we got on the planet that we can observe right now. So nothing we have can stop them from doing what they do based on the movies we've been seeing. Right? So my point of saying all that is to say this, even when we think about 3i Atlas, when we think about extraterrestrialism, I want to encourage everybody to think of it in terms of frequency, right? As resonant frequency, meaning, I think the most advanced technology, as you said, is going to be information that is downloaded onto each and every one of us if we're open to receiving it, so that we can utilize these bodies, because they're really good organic technology. You see what I'm saying? Every bit of technology that we do know today, including the internet, is based off the human mind. Right? It's based off the human mind. Yeah. And that is based off let's say even digital universe, virtual reality, that's based off the human mind's capability to have an imagination and, you know, create something from, you know, out of what we think is nothing. So I think, you know, while we're going through, you know, these mundane experiences, you know, thinking, you know, I mean, it's like is this all a matrix? Yeah. But we really got to sit back and think about it. Like, who created it? You know, who created it? And did we truly could sign up? Did we create it and sign up to play a part of it? Because listen, because at this point, listen, I'll be looking at people across the world. I'll be looking at him and I'm like, nah, y'all, I hear y'all. I'll be hearing y'all say y'all want some freedom. But still, every day I see people get up and participate in the system as is. Every day, right? Every day. I mean, I know there's been conditioning, right, from a young age, you know, and it's been, let's say, multi-generational conditioning. So I know it goes deep. You know, like where did the conditioning start to where, you know, we've been so acquiescence into, you know, whatever this matrix is. And but yeah, I think this, saying all that to say this, we'll land this plane because I know we got some more topics we want to hit on. You know, this particular planet that we're living on is very peculiar, very uniquely situated in the solar system, for one. Very uniquely situated. And as far as we can observe, it's the only planet in this whole solar system that has the conditions on it to do what it does. In other words, have the type of life that it has on it. I don't think that's a coincidence. And also, too, on the other end, what I was talking about, but who set it up like that? And, you know, why don't we have a very tangible and empirical evidence of whoever set it up like that if it's not us? All right, I'll end up playing right there for a second.
Hey,
or that UFO.
That UFO. Hey, Chief, your son, are you there?
I think he said we had to give him a second. I know he got the baby girl.
Oh, okay.
But
all right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just want our people, we want the Aboriginals of planet Earth to understand you have a spiritual force within you, each and every one of us. And if you use it for evil, you'll get evil results. If you use it for good, we'll get positive results. And that's what we're focusing on. And that segues us into the topic. So we have here at the United Aboriginal American Republic, we're developing a movement to bring all the Aboriginal tribes together. We're not in a competition. We're not trying to outdo and say, well, we're going to be the king of the hill and that sort of thing. We're looking for alliances. If you're a native tribe, you have one name, there are hundreds of names of different native tribes. But once again, what happened was we were conquered and divided by entities like the Catholic Church and a few other groups that, you know, conspired to divide this planet up and kick it into complete chaos. So to all of the tribal groups and to all people that are considering being a part of a tribe so that we can develop a collective unit to make a difference on this planet, we are encouraging you. You know, if you have a family and you're known as the Choctaws or the Black Cherokees or whatever the case might be, all we're advocating is let us join the forces together. You know, because typically we men get into a competitive mode. Well, if your tribe running things and you have control of all the women, no, you can't. Nobody controls all the women. If you think you're going to control women, you are a fool, because they got their own mindset and they running the show. You know, they give life. They're the first teachers that they nurture. You know, so the best we can do as men is at least demonstrate to them that we're willing to provide protection and build for them, you know, and let them do their thing, you know. But so to the Aboriginal men, you know, we're encouraging you to join the collective to save your people. Now, so what we have experienced since we've been out there as an Aboriginal tribe, we've running into different tribes that are competing, and even to the point of using dark arts to kick you out of the running of bringing our people together. I mean, even within our collective, we've just experienced that, you know, they have created AI tribes to try to lure you in, because all of the enemy or the Luciferian agendas, they knew you were going to wake up at this time. They knew 3-Hour Atlas was going to be coming through to enforce it at this time. So they're doing everything they can to create chaos while they either reinforce the Luciferian agenda of creating a false god, or they got to get out of Dodge, go to an island somewhere and build their own self-sustainable community and continue doing their evil, which will cause them to implode eventually. So what I want to say to the younger generations that have come to a conclusion that we can't rely on these old fools born in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, because they sold us out. Yeah, I understand that, and I ain't mad with you, because I'm still dealing with some, you know, I'm 73 and I got some 70-something-year-olds that's still trying to serve massa, and they will protect massa to the death. You know, they are still complicit in paying taxes into a system when the system says start your own business and start developing that. They would, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just pay taxes, give money to characters like Ben Netanyahu to go murder children, to crazy systems, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party that's being controlled by a deep state society over in the Middle East. They got dirt on all of it, and so you can't do anything effective. Well, most of it. I ain't gonna say all of it. There's a small percentage of you congressmen and senators that may not be affected by these covert actions, but it's a really sad situation. So we have there are people in our generation that are still stuck. I just experienced it last week. They would rather give Ben Netanyahu money to continue what he's doing than to invest in the salvation of our children. I understand that. But you got 2 elders right here, and we got several others in our group, women, men and women, that understand that, yes, we need to fix this, and we're going to run interference for you. But don't try to come in and sabotage, you know, because you want to be the leading nation. If you don't build a tribal structure with a group of elders that's sincere, that acknowledge that, yeah, we sold you out, or we were complicit, or just hesitated, or in making the proper moves on creating institutions for our children to have their own banks, their own grocery stores, their own processing centers, their own clothing line, their own television network. You know, yeah, we failed you on that. So here's the deal. There are elders all over this country, and we have 4 or 5 of the top elders, men and women, that's here to run interference for you. You know, but for you to get into practicing the dark arts, to gain power, to hypnotize people, you know, we've been operating on a spell for 400 years here in America. So if you want to create a dark art of trying to do that, it's going to backfire. Case in point, in the case of Haiti, did the Haiti use voodoo to expel the French? And the response was, yes, voodoo played a critical role in Haiti's independence between 1791 and 1804. Okay, so now we're not going to dog out voodoo. Voodoo is a science. It's a science of math and chemistry. And in one case, if you want to put somebody to sleep, there's a chemical in the puffer fish that if you extract it properly, you can put somebody in stasis for a long time, you know. And so if you use that, as my son said, it's a magic show. If you use that, okay, I understand, you know, when you're in war, things are critical, desperation, but in the long term, check Haiti's receipts. All right, it worked then, but it did not eliminate the human problem of how do we come together. So under the racist agenda of divide and conquer, particularly like the Willie Lynch law, it says turn the old against the young, turn the house Negro against the field Negro, the light skins against the dark skins, the men against the women. These were designs specifically to create chaos so an invading force can control you. And that's what we've been living for 400 years. So I strongly advise to those people, we don't want you to be discouraged that are considering reclaiming your tribal heritage. Come to UAR, give us an opportunity. If you're running into people trying to charge you exorbitant prices of your status correction, you know, and want you to be part of a cult-like mentality for control purposes, it's going to be a problem, and the results are going to be just where Haiti is right now. They're still in chaos. They're still being manipulated by countries like the United States or corporate America, where they go in and install their own leaders to do their bidding to maintain control. So I seriously warn your young tribal groups of steering away from that negative energy. And let's steer into a positive realm, because that's the only thing that's going to work. That's the only thing that these advanced extraterrestrials, they know you have the God light in you. And when you bring it together in mass numbers, then that's where you get the power. That's when they will reinforce you. That's when they will intervene with demons like that's running the United States government right now, and Israel, you know, and Europe. Yeah, they won't intervene. They can shut them down. They gave them this hand-me-down technology. They can shut it down anytime they want, but they're waiting on us. And you're not going to get there fighting over trying to see who's going to outdo, who's going to be the best Aboriginal Native American group to come in and remove the pretendians out the way, the invading Caucasians that have bad intent. The only way that we're going to do this is through a collective effort and restoring the natural order of our tribal laws. You have elders, you have upper management, lower management, you have technicians, and you have trainees. That's the way we're operating. So if you're considering joining a nation or building your own nation, and then you want to collaborate with us and unify with us with a treaty or MOU, if you're not a tribe, if you're an organization, you can join us. Hey, let me, hey man, Junior, what is the process of I'm gonna call it status correction or nationality? You correct me on that.
Yeah, well, the overall idea is status correction. But you know, when we be real specific on it, you know, we say, okay, what does status correction mean? It means you politically identify yourself as what your race and ethnicity is, and nationality specifically comes by way of government. In this case, we have a tribal government that you can nationalize with. So for us, it's pretty simple. You just go to uaarnation.org, go to the nationality page, and hit the read. First read what's there. Read what the process is, family. And I love my family. I know we all getting used to social media, and we just used to watching videos at this point, and we getting away from reading. Please read what's there. It ain't that much. All right. So just read those few couple paragraphs, it ain't that much, and then hit the apply button, and you'll schedule an orientation, and then we'll go over the nationality process. Yeah, that's it. It's really that simple.
So once again, to them young groups that have lost confidence in elders, there are some elders out here that are sensitive to it. You don't have to get into fighting and scratching over who's going to be the tribe that's going to leave us into the promised land, out of slavery into the promised land. It requires a collective effort, and the people that have been here on this planet since the 30s, the 40s, and 50s, they've seen some things. And if you totally disregard them, they bring value to you. Not all of us, but that we have some that will bring value to your tribal structure. And trying to be the head king, the head chief, and all of that, and you're not qualified. If you haven't seen the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, it's going to be hard for you to understand how to navigate around this invading force that came here to our land, oppressed us, raped us, robbed us, massacred us, and in order to level the playing field so that they can live on the planet as gods. And we have those beings in our own culture that want to be a god. They don't want to be a part of a collective effort, and it's a problem. It's not going to work unless we come together with unconditional love and respect for each other, and understanding we got to treat each other the way we want to be treated. If you come in here saying, well, I'm going to put some voodoo on you, I'm going to put some roots on you so you can get sick and get out of our way so we can do it the young people's way, and you don't understand this demon you're dealing with, man, it is not going to work. And the guardians of the Most High, they are elders. And if you disrespecting your elders on this planet, what do you think you're going to do to them? And then you're back in the Luciferian scenario. Then you're going to have to get your ass kicked like Lucifer did and kicked out and exiled to a desolate planet for several thousand years. You're going to recreate that same cycle. Hey, Chairman, you got any thoughts on the tribal issue? Because that's a serious issue.
Yes, it is very serious. And it goes back a long, long time ago, thousands of years back in Africa, where when we first were put on planet Earth, there was one family, one tribe, but through generations of not staying together and working with each other, we divided. We even fought wars and massacred each other. And that has got to stop. We can't progress like that. We've got to come together, support each other. Like the United States government, you got all these states, but they're under one union. Africa should be under one union. They should cooperate. They should have representatives, and the main thing is educate. And the way life progresses through our younger generation, we can only carry the mantle so far. And then we got to hand it over to the younger generation, give them a foothold, something to stand on and continue. But you got to be, like you say, we got to learn how to live in harmony with each other. There's more than enough for all of us. I mean, this could be a heaven on earth. That's why we were put here, to do heavenly things, but we can't do it if we're fighting each other, and don't let somebody tell you that there's not enough. That's why people fight and take other people's land. There's more than enough. I even said that they did a survey and they said that there's enough room in Texas to hold every person on this planet, and there's 8 billion of us. So can you imagine the room, the land? And we got intelligence where we can go to other planets. Trust me, if we're going out to the moon and sending probes to Mars, we can do a whole lot. And 3 Eye Atlas is showing us what can be done. But we got to come together. Nobody is the chief. We're all representatives, and that's what's got to happen. And then you'll see this beauty that nature has given us to make it flourish and just enjoy this life, because that's what it's all about. Enjoy this life, not to work every day and slave and do all that, but to do what you got to do to make it enjoyable. And there's a lot of beautiful things that are happening on this planet, but there's a whole lot more that can happen. Because if you look at this younger generation, they got that potential, but we've got to open doors for them.
Absolutely. Hey, so there's some things that's projected in this quarter. Hey, man, I don't know if I can't get a good clearance out of that video I sent you about the projected layoffs in coming up in the next quarter.
Yeah, I tried looking at that.
You can't get that. So there are some serious layoffs planned, and we as a people, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. And when it comes to this Luciferian agenda, because remember this, Lucifer's job, her job, I think he's kind of two sexes, was to destroy the original human. Because Lucifer knows that the original human will not worship it as a god. And so she can't be a god, unless we are destroyed. And so now Lucifer is creating these recessive gene bodies, and then what happens is if you sell your people out, you're gonna reincarnate in one of those bodies. You're gonna keep going down the totem pole, and I promise you, you don't want one of those bodies. If you have right now the privilege of a melanated body, earn it. To repeat that. And to the Caucasians that have lost that, you can earn it to get back into a melanated body, so you don't have to build more generational curses. And you can do that by contributing to getting the original humans that the Most High created here for all of us. These bodies were designed for a reason, to reflect the sun, to be able to physically adjust on this planet. So that's what we believe, and that's where we are. In the next few months, these layoffs are going to create chaos. They're going to put us in a state of mind of murdering, conning each other, and doing a whole lot of serious things. And I strongly advise you against that. And if you look at seeking for a tribal nation, give UAR a shot first. And shop around, because there are a lot of people that even have an AI tribe with a fake brother, to bring you in to worship him, and I tested it, and the program is designed to appeal to your desperation, to the fact that you get ready to lose your job or lose your income and that sort of thing. So we strongly advise you. We're here. We are sincere. What we're doing here with the United Aboriginal American Republic. We want to bring all the tribes together. We're all equal. Get out of the mind that you're going to be the chief, the top. No, we're all equal. So if you're considering your status correction, go to our site, give us a call, send us an email, a text, and we will explain to you the process. We're not downing. We're not telling you, we're not going to dog out other nations, but we are warning you that Lucifer anticipated this, and he is empowering a lot of tribes that are not here for you. They're for themselves. And that's just the way Lucifer rolled, man. So if you're doubtful, if you want us to analyze whether a tribe is sincere or not, give us a call, and we'll tell you if they're good, they're good. And we will encourage you, join with them. And then when you get in there, tell them, say, hey, how about we all join our forces together? But using dark forces, I promise you it's not going to work. Because the Guardians ain't stupid. They see you. They know what you're doing behind closed doors. They know, and I ain't perfect. And sometimes we're going to have, I don't have no privacy. But anyway, that's where hey, the other question here, is the moon real? Because this will help, you know, we want to talk about that. My son, he has some scientific theories on how the moon showed up. Hey man, tell us what you know.
Yeah, weird way of transitioning me at the topic, man. But the moon, is it real? That's the question. Is it real?
Is it a real
it's
planet or is it an artificial satellite? How about them apples?
I think it's an artificial satellite. So let's go ahead and get into it. Yes. So you know, you've got a lot of what they call fringe theories out there. You know, mainly, and I'm gonna say all this objectively. Fringe theory is coming from a lot of let's just say Caucasian people, right? Let's just call it what it is. And I think it's necessary to kind of, you know, highlight what demographic certain information is coming from, because it gives you a better understanding of the intent of it. So is it hollow? Is it a mechanical machine? Again, similar to type of technology that we got on, you know, this planet right now. Don't know for sure. Don't know. But let me go over a few things, because as a very seasoned astrologer, and I had to become somewhat of an astronomer to be very seasoned with this. So a few things about the moon, and I'll let y'all gauge on what y'all think, right? So I was saying earlier, you know, this planet already by itself, moon or no moon, is in a very peculiar position in the solar system itself. Peculiar enough, almost to the point of having like the most perfect orbit, right, as far as distance from the sun. Now, for all you flat earthers out there, look, we'll have that conversation later on. If you think the Earth is flat, okay, we'll get on that later. But from a heliocentric model, as they call it, you know, planets built as spheres orbiting a spherical heat source, aka the sun. All right, so you know, we're the only one in the whole solar system that has the right distance to have life as we know it. And if we were any closer, any further, we would not have life as we know it. We wouldn't. As a matter of fact, if we were as, you know, close as the moon is far away from us, we wouldn't have life on this planet as we know. I'm talking about slight variation on this planet will wipe it out, like straight up. So, but the moon in particular, well, for one, like you mentioned earlier, one of the most interesting thing about it is tidal locked, meaning the one face faces us all the time, and no other moon in the solar system does that. No other moon does that. All of them have some type of axis and spin. I mean, it may be slow, but it still does it, right? But our moon, we see the same face all the time, and that has you know, let's say a regulation effect on the bodies of water on this planet that make them as let's say peaceful as they are. Peaceful as they are. 'Cause otherwise, if it had a different type of let's say spin on its own axis, it's like, you know, the bodies of the water on this planet could be washing over land masses all the time, and we wouldn't be able to build and or have life again as we know it. Right? So it makes you wonder, why is it tidal? How did it get tidal locked like that? Especially with its size comparison. Also, too, our moon, and in comparison to the Earth, it's like the ratio is odd. It's like, in other words, our moon is almost a little too big for our planet. in comparison to other moons for other planets.
Right.
Right. So that's strange. That's strange. Also, too, for let's say a solar eclipse to happen, right? Just think about the model that we all learned in school of moon floating around the planet, always with the same face, right? That's one thing. But the numbers are this, and I mean, I don't know how I can't confirm this because I ain't did no measurements myself, right? But allegedly, the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun as far as the diameter goes, and our line of sight of it. But the sun is 400 times further away than the moon. So those metrics make it to where when the moon passes over the sun from our line of sight, it's almost like a perfect fit to where the diameter of the moon is very similar to the diameter of the sun.
Yeah.
That's like a 1 in a billion chance that would happen. That's not as a natural phenomenon. That's like a 1 in a billion chance that would happen. So based on what we learned in school, this happened naturally over billions of years. I mean, that's that's pretty peculiar, right? And so having all of these strange functions of the moon, kind of lead us to to fathom like, hey man, that thing might have been hung up there kind of recently on top of that.
Yeah.
Right. One let's say Aboriginal legend of the moon. I can't qualify when this story came out, how old it is, but it is a Zulu legend, a Zulu mythology. The story of Wowane and Mpanku goes a little something like this: that these two amphibian-like brothers. Now, I don't know exactly how the Zulu met these two or observed these two to even create this story, write this narrative down. I don't know. Y'all look it up yourself. Wowane and Mpanku. It's spelled just the way it sounds. All right, just look it up. It says that these two amphibian-like brothers stole an egg from a great celestial dragon, rolled the egg across the sky, hollowed out the yolk, and then put it in orbit around the Earth. That's how the story goes. Don't give too much more detail than that, but that's how the story goes. Now, but as fantastical as that seems, the actual observations of the moon are just as fantastical. You see what I'm saying? So when you have, I mean, now that legend, that Zulu legend, I mean, they also say that this happened hundreds of generations ago, right? So, again, I can't qualify, when the story came out, none of that. But it does make you wonder. It does make you wonder. So, as far as my vote on the moon, mind you, I'm one of them people. I got to see some empirical evidence before I just be believing shit. Right? I gotta, I gotta crunch some numbers. I mean, I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna lean into what's logical. I'm gonna lean into my own intuition as well. But in the case of the moon, no, it is incredibly strange as far as observable nature goes. And I think now I personally think this, especially as an astrologer. Anybody who knows anything about astrology know that the moon is related to water, especially the bodies of water on this planet. I mean, but it actually does. Even outside of astrology, again, the moon is what controls the tidal waves on this planet, right? It does. That's
Right.
just scientific fact. And so, but in astrology, water is synonymous with emotions. And I know y'all heard me say this before, emotions are what truly give us all of the experiences that we have on this planet. That's the only thing that makes every situation potentially variable, meaning 1 + 1 = 2, back and forth all day long. Ain't gonna change that. But how each individual human feels or what emotion they have about that, oh, that's infinite. All of us can have a different feeling or perception on what the math is. All right, and that's what gives us the great multitude of experiences. And what are we here doing? Just that. We're here to have experiences so that we can ascend and evolve. So the moon is very, very important when it comes to influencing experiences on this planet. I mean, we all heard the old narratives. I mean, when full moon come around, folks get to act a little extra, right?
That's a fact.
That's one thing. I also want people. I need y'all to pay attention. Just a quick astronomy lesson. The moon doesn't have a perfect orbit around the sun either. There's a point where it's furthest from the Earth, and there's a point where it's closest to the Earth as it's orbiting us. Super moon versus black moon. When it's at its furthest point, it's called the black moon. When it's at its nearest point, it's called the super moon. Now, there are calculators, just Google them, just called the lunar apogee and perigee. Look that up, and then look up the calculators for them, and you'll see them. And you'll see when there are super moons and when there are black moons. Them super moons are what y'all need to be paying attention to if you think folk acting crazy on full moons. Nah, I'd be them super moons. Because why? Because when the moon is closest to the planet, to the Earth, it's like the tidal waves of the ocean have very, extreme amplitudes. In other words, the waves are high and low, very high and low, versus on a black moon, they're a little more calmer, right? So, now what they tell us, we made up of 70% water.
Yes.
So the moon's affecting the water in the ocean like that. How do you think it's affecting the water that is you?
That's right.
Especially during a super moon, you're out there, crashing out. Or I ain't gonna say crashing out. I say you may be a little extra during the super moon. All of us may be, and I think we all need to be, paying attention and aware of it. When it's happening. So, but saying all that to say this, because we're a few minutes past the hour. My own theory on it is, yes, was the moon put there by an advanced intelligence? Yeah, I think so. And for the very specific purpose of regulating and or amplifying experiences on this planet through the water. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll land it right there.
All right, so and I'm gonna give my very brief take on that. That's how we roll here in our nation, Urban United Aboriginal American Republic. See, the youth are brilliant, and we want to cultivate that. Just because you're an elder, if you don't know the things, like my son, I created an environment for him to learn these things. Now he surpassed me. And I'm not sitting up here going, "You're smarter than me." I'm encouraging him, "Hey man, get this crap together, man, and let's make this a better life." So let's get out of the craziness, the madness. These folks getting ready to shut this program down, man. This dollar, this money, and our people are gonna be left out in the cold, because that was Lucifer's intent, was to destroy us, the original humans. So get with the tribe. We can only do this with the numbers, and we can only do this from a spiritual manifestation, manifesting what we need to provide for our people. And that's the only way this is going to work. Any other way, you're wasting your time. Get out the dark arts. That's not going to work. It's going to blow up in your face. There were alien beings that created that scenario to influence you. It's not going to work. Get with us. If you have questions about other tribes, if people want to charge you exorbitant rates for your status, just call us up, uarnation.org, and we'll tell you what the going trend and what we will do to get your status corrected. That means establish you as an Aboriginal so you can get some reparations. There's a way to get reparations, but I promise you the Democrats and the Republicans, all the people that have been compromised, they're not going to tell you the right way how you're going to get some relief from this crap. Hey, Chairman, did you have something to say about that moon before we
Yes, I do.
leave?
There was an old Zulu chief that called the moon an A because they said it was hollow on the inside. Now, with our first trip to the moon, when we landed and then we took off to meet up with our other spacecraft to take us back to Earth, they released the vehicle that was on the moon. And when they released it, it went back to the moon, it crashed, and it rung like a bell for over an hour. And that's why they say that the moon was hollow. And there was another theory, or not really a theory, but a saying that the astronauts that went to the moon made contact with extraterrestrials and they told them, don't come back here.
Mhm.
And that's why they didn't come back for a long time. But since then, China has went to the moon and went to the dark side, you know. So we are tidally locked to the moon's face, and we always see it because it's controlled basically by Earth, but it has an effect on us with our tides. Now, I'll land that point.
Hey man, well, you almost got the final word. On that note, we don't need to be paying taxes to this fake moon trip. You know, we don't need to be paying taxes to a little country that want to manipulate our Congress and our senators to pay them welfare checks, $2 billion a year for based on a biblical term they don't even believe in. We need to reinvest in ourselves, our people, and the resurrection of our people. Hey, Julian, you got the last word, man.
All right, fella. I think it's been an all right show. And so we're gonna close it on now. So as always, we love y'all, fam. Peace and love. We appreciate all the support. And we'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Conversation piece.